Hi, everyone. Welcome to learn how to use ChatGPT for data analytics. We'll start with the webinar soon. I see already a couple of people that are online. That's great. We have a lot of registers for tonight, so we're just waiting for everybody to join. Let's see. And okay. All right. More people coming in. This is great. Okay. Just gonna wait for one more minute. All right. We have already more attendees. Yeah, great. Awesome. Okay, I'm just going to start. There will be probably some people joining in later, which is fine. But I'm just going to start with the introduction, and then we can go ahead with actually covering the topic of how to use ChatGPT in data analytics. Today is joining me Felipe. Felipe is actually one of our teachers here at Ironhack, but he will give you an introduction a little bit later. All right. So let's just go ahead with the introduction. I just want to give a little bit of feedback in terms of if you have any questions regards of the content or directly to Philippe, just ask them in the chat box, because there we will be able to gather all the questions that you might have. And if you can just go ahead and continue asking them during the call, and then later on we'll discuss all the questions that everybody has answered in the chat box. So let's start with just a brief introduction on who Ironhack is. And okay, let me go to the next slide. Yeah. So yeah, Ironhack. We are an international tech school, and we offer bootcamps in multiple topics such as web development, UI UX design, data analytics, and cybersecurity. We are now currently in multiple countries, but one of them is also the Netherlands, where I'm located at. We offer bootcamps in either the 9-week format or 24 weeks format. 9 weeks is full time, so that's basically from 9 to 5, quite intensive, but you will learn a lot in those couple of weeks. And we have also the 24-week format, meaning it's a part-time course, which you basically can do next to your job or other obligations you might have. Of course, we help people finding a new job, so it's really for the career switches that are amongst us. And we help you finding a job afterwards. It's important that you get the guidance that you need. So everybody that joins our bootcamp will get a career coach appointed to them, which you can use for 1 year after the bootcamp as well, who's going to help you either finding the right suitable job, help you with your profile, help you with the portfolio that you already start building up in the bootcamp. He's going to help you with getting all the right resources, maybe interview questions that you might have during the interview. So it's a full reskilling program that we offer. And then in terms of some facts, we are currently in 8 campuses worldwide. We are mainly focused in Europe, North America, and South America. We have over 12,000 graduates at the moment, and 85% of them find a job within 6 months. And we have a hiring partner network of 600 companies worldwide. And of course, you can imagine if we have so many graduates, there's a big global community of Czech professionals that we notice that a lot of students are always in touch with each other, helping each other out in terms of jobs or any questions that they might have. So you get a really supportive global community. And Felipe, could you maybe mute your microphone for just a sec?
Sorry.
Thank you. All right, then we have the bootcamps. Just a quick overview on what we currently do. So the courses are web development. You'll learn the most in-demand programming languages such as HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, and some back-end servers. UI UX design, where you mainly be working with Figma, do user research, design thinking, and information architecture. And you also get a bit of HTML and CSS just to make sure that you are able to communicate with the web developer. And then, of course, we have data analytics, which is something that we're discussing also today. At data analytics, you'll be working mainly with data cleaning, statistics, building dashboards, programming in Python, working with programs and frameworks such as MySQL, Pandas, and Tableau. And next to that, we also have cybersecurity, where you will mainly be focusing on multiple like operating systems, ethical hacking, risk management, and forensics. Okay, and then just to give you a quick, brief overview of what the career services means. So as I mentioned before, you get the professional support after the bootcamp because we find it really important. You find a job afterwards. So you get a dedicated success manager for 12 months after the bootcamp who's going to help you with the whole process of finding a job. We also have a hiring partner network, meaning that companies can list with us if they have any vacancies open in certain countries. And then we try to match them with the right profiles that we have in our bootcamp program. And as I mentioned, like 85% of our students, they find a job within 6 months after the bootcamp. So the percentage rate is quite high. If you are living in the Netherlands, we also have 60% of your bootcamp can be subsidized by the Dutch government. we have multiple subsidies arrangements, but one of them is the RMT subsidy, which can go up to €5,000 per person. Which is quite a lot, but the government is always trying to support the IT sector in the Netherlands, meaning that they help people, citizens that want to reskill into IT. So it depends a little bit on your eligibility and region where you live in the Netherlands, but it can go up to €5,000 per person. If you have any questions about that, I would recommend talking with our admissions managers, who you can always contact through our contact form, who can guide you and giving you more information about these subsidy schemes. In terms of other financing options, we actually have quite a few, which the most popular one also is Tech Me Up. In case you haven't heard of that yet, it's an interest-free loan from Ironhack, which you only have to repay once you find a job and have a salary. But the loan is not only for the bootcamp, it can also be used, for example, if you have expenses such as your rent, such as daycare, or you need certain equipment like a laptop. Tech Me Up is there to help you with that. So yeah, it's a good option. A lot of students of us use it, and they are a good partner from us. Then we also have payment in installments, of course. You can split it into 3 monthly payments, but we also have other options such as finance for learning, which is more like a loan in case you're interested in that. So once again, if you are really interested in hearing more about the financing options, I would recommend talking to our admissions manager, who you can speak through our website, because they can provide you with all the suitable information that's really suitable for your own case. All right. So I would like to give the word to my colleague Felipe, who joined us here today. Felipe is going to host this presentation webinar because he's one of our greatest data analytics teacher, and actually also a professional who works at a certain company, which he will explain later. Yeah, Felipe, you're there, right? Perfect. Hello. Yeah. So I'm just going to give you the word. You can do your introduction to tell a bit about yourself and what you do. And if you need any help, just let me know. Okay.
All right. Awesome. Let me check. I just didn't find the presentation. The presentation is here somewhere in the.
It's in the presenter, right? But I can help you with the slides if you want to.
There we go. I find it. Thank you. Well, I didn't find it. You did. Thank you very much. So guys, just a brief introduction. My name is Philip. I'm based currently in, well, not today, but I'm living in Lisbon for the last almost 4 years now. I'm currently in Brazil, taking some time off, workations, not on vacations, but, you know, doing some remote work from here for a while, visiting my family, staying on some nice beaches, enjoying a little bit here. I'm not from the field. I graduated in law. So until 2019, I was working with being a lawyer. I decided to switch careers, found out that, you know, AI existed and it was not just sci-fi. So I decided to do this careers switch. I myself did Ironhack in October 2019. So I myself am a graduate from Ironhack. After I graduated from Ironhack, I worked as a teacher assistant there for a year until I actually started working as a Python developer. I started working for web scraping. Later on, I got an offer to work as a data scientist for a consulting company, which is where I work until today. I've been doing some quite interesting projects there for a bank in Portugal. And well, basically process automation. And some of the process automations we do require some machine learning. So the whole idea is to apply machine learning to automate the process there in the bank. I've worked with computer vision, natural language processing, regular tabular data. So I've been doing a little bit of everything there, as well as deploying the models. So it's been quite an interesting experience to have this hand on the whole process of a project. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about data analytics, what it is. Okay, so if you have no idea what data analytics is, we're going to cover that really quick. A little bit of the roles out there in the market, and then we'll talk about how to use ChatGPT to actually get some interesting things done with data analytics. The whole idea is that I'll propose a quick use case, and I'm going to be typing down some questions in ChatGPT so we can analyze how it answers the questions and what we can take away from these things. All right, so let's take a look here at the agenda. That's the idea, okay? Introduction to data, introduction to ChatGPT, and then talk a little about limitations and then the use cases that we'll see. So we start here with what data is, right? Data today, well, data is information, okay? So everywhere you go, every time you're using your phone, every time you're in a store buying something, there is data being collected from you and stored somewhere, okay? So basically, data is information, right? That's the whole idea. Data is going to be collected wherever you go. It's going to be stored somewhere, usually in a format that resembles a spreadsheet from Excel, right? So you have their data being stored. Here's a quick example of how it would look like in a table, in a database, in a spreadsheet, whatever. And then as a data analyst or as a data professional, whether you're going to be a data analyst, data scientist, data engineer, whatever, there's many different roles out there that you can do with data, okay? So there are some roles that are going to require some more technical skills, some that will require some more theoretical skills like probabilities, right? Math. Some that will require more technical skill in the sense of being able to work with different tools, being able to program in different languages, being able to code a pipeline and make the data travel through different places. And also the business knowledge, which is very important, especially for more analytical roles where you're going to be maybe designing dashboards, looking at plots, and using those tools to make it easier to make an insightful decision in a company, okay? So here we talked a little bit about these different roles. Guys, if you have questions, if they're short, I'll try to keep a quick peek in the Q&A, but also Q&A questions will be answered in the end, all right? Just so to let you know. You guys see this blurred, or do you guys see this, anyone else see this blurred? Do you guys see this okay? Let me know if the image is blurred. If you cannot read the text, let me know, okay? So these are, you can have some ideas here from this image. Like if you're going to be a data analyst, data communication is key, right? You gotta be able to communicate the information you have really well. Here, there's some maths that's in algorithms, but I would go more for the high level part of it, right? You do need the math a little bit, the statistics, the probabilities, to give you some ground or for you to understand when you're talking about averages, right? When you're talking about the average of something, when you're talking about these summarizing, let's say,
Philly,
techniques that we have. Yes?
checking the chat, and I see a lot of people see the slides blurred. What could be a solution is that you share your screen and then you present it from there.
Okay, let me try it here.
Let's try if that's better.
All right, let's see. If
We
this
don't want blurry slides if nobody can read it, of course.
Yeah, let's see if I can share the entire screen. Here I have the slides already prepared, so you can go to where we were. Let me know if this is better. I won't have now. I cannot see the chat now. I have to get off.
I will keep an eye on the chat.
But okay. So let me know if anything goes on.
Yeah,
I'll be focusing here on the presentation, and then I'll take a look at the Q&A. All right. So these are ups. That's a little bit about the different roles. You have the data engineer, the guy who's going to be building the pipeline. This person needs to know a lot of different software, a lot of different skills on programming, different tools such as cloud, right? You have a lot of things being deployed on cloud. So cloud, Docker, Kubernetes, APIs, a lot of more technical ability and even software engineering skills here for the data engineer. And for the data scientist, well, it's a more, let's say, balanced mix of these different skills. All right. A little bit of what you would be doing in a job role such as data analytics. Just here doing a little connection with the Ironhack course. The idea here is that the Ironhack will prepare you for a data analyst position, but it's also going to give you relevant ground for the other positions as well, okay? So the idea is that after the course, you're ready to work as a data analyst, but you also get a lot of information related to these other areas. So afterwards, you can also look for these jobs, especially if you already have a background in technology or in the STEM fields, right, in mathematics, engineering. So if you have this background, perhaps you can even get a job as a data engineer or data scientist right after the bootcamp. In my case, because I had no background, I had to keep on studying and gaining these extra knowledge, these extra skills that were required to work as a data scientist. All right. So focusing here on the data analytics role, okay, some data analytics role will require machine learning, not all of them. Okay, I would even say that most of them will not require any even coding skill. Okay, even though I would suggest that you do have some coding skill because it's always useful. You're probably always going to work with SQL, probably always. That sounds not right, okay, but you probably will work with SQL, for example. SQL is a database, is a way to interact with a database. A database is where you store a lot of different tables. So you can imagine like a collection of Excel spreadsheets, okay, being stored somewhere in a server. And with SQL, it's like you were writing queries. So it's like you were Googling for the data that you want. So you write the query in a specific format and in SQL, right, structured query language, and the database will return the precise data that you requested for. Okay, so this is a tool that most data analytics positions will require because most data will be stored in SQL or in what they call NoSQL. So basically, it's maybe in JSON files. You have also non-relational databases, but that's not the point here. I'm not going to get into details on that. That's the idea. So you're basically going to be connecting to this database, requesting the data that you need, and as a data analyst, you might be building dashboards. Okay, dashboards are these collection of plots that are connected, tells a story, and helps you to make an insightful decision, right? A data-based decision. So you might be working only on developing dashboards. You might even be working with only analyzing the dashboard, okay? Depending on how if your role is more towards the business side or if it's more towards the technical side, you might be building these dashboards or you might just be using them, okay? ETL is also something that's very common that's requested from data analysts, which is the idea of, okay, you have a data stored in your database, you want to transform that information somehow. Maybe you have some date there and you want just to extract the month in a new column, whatever transformation you want to do in that data, it's essential that you know some tools to be able to do that, okay? So you can do that straight on SQL. You have low-code tools that basically you're dragging and dropping different actions to do. You have, for example, Talent, you have, for example, Asterisk. Tableau has also a platform for you to do ETL. So you have different tools that can help you. You can also do this with programming languages. My cat is here. With programming languages such as Python, Perl. You have many different scripting languages that are easy and even made for ETL. Okay, and then you put the data back in the database that you found. So that's basically an ETL process here. That might be something that you are going to be doing as a data analyst. Machine learning models. A position might require a little bit of machine learning, might not, okay? The idea of understanding a little bit of how to use machine learning, I think it's also super interesting. In my opinion, it's my favorite topic is machine learning, so I'm biased to say. All right. So here, just some job roles in analytics. And the idea now is that we are going to be taking a look how to, for example, use ChatGPT to help us create a dashboard, or how to use ChatGPT to help us create a function in Python. Okay, so this is going to be the main idea for the second half of this talk. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about ChatGPT. Well, it's a large language model. Okay, guys, a large language model is based a language model. I don't have an image here, so let's get an image here to show you precisely how that works. Large language model. Basically, it's going to mask one word. The idea is to mask one word and to learn to approximate from the other words. All right, let's see if we find here masked words. Let's see if we find an image that can help us see this. So let's take this for example. You have here several different texts, and the idea is that you're going to pass this into an algorithm, but you're going to mask some of the words, okay? Usually 15% of the words, you're going to hide that from the model, and you're going to pass that word as the answer. When we're talking about training an algorithm, we're talking about having certain features, having certain information, and based on that information, we're able to predict this other information. So here the idea is that based on all the other words in a sentence, we are able to predict this precise word. So let's pretend that you are masking the words in bold. The idea is that eventually the algorithm will learn. It's going to calculate probabilities to see which word is more likely to fit in that spot. So once you have that large language model trained, basically you are able to generate text. Okay, this is it's part of generative AI, where you are able to actually generate text from this. So basically that's how, kinda in a high level, really quick here, right, how this large language model would work. Okay. Let's go here. How to use ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a website. You can go here, chatopenai.com. It's going to request you to sign in. Okay, so you got to do that. And then you are able to basically write down whatever you want. It's like Google, okay, but I think, in my opinion, it's a bit better. I don't think it replaces Google. It does not replace Google, at least not yet. Maybe one day, who knows? But it does not replace Google because some of the information that ChatGPT generates is not true, all right? So you got to be attentive for that. That's one of the limitations that I put here. I highlight, there are several limitations, of course, guys. Limitations here is a lot. So I mentioned these two that are the main limitations here for the model, I think, which is it can generate plausible wrong answers. So it's basically telling you an answer, but it's kind of convincing you that that's the right answer. So that can lead to mistakes, right? So you got to watch out. You always got to cross-check the information that you get from ChatGPT. And it's trained on Google data, okay? So I put that as a limitation because it only knows what Google knows, right? It does not know anything that's not there in Google, all right? So I put here as one of the important limitations we have for the model. Okay, so I put here that it's essential to use ChatGPT with these limitations in mind and apply appropriate context and critical thinking when you're interpreting the responses. I hardly ever use the response right as it is, okay? Often I have to drill it down, update it a little bit, make it a little bit more similar to what I wanted in the first place, okay? Let me just, guys, I think we're ready to try it out. Okay, we're gonna try out some use cases. I just need to get some water, so let's take 5. Can we take 5? Just I need to get some water here. I'll be right back.
Sure.
Let's all take 5 maybe also. If you have to go to the bathroom, this is the time. Okay, I'll be back in 5 minutes with some water here to continue, okay? And we'll be taking a look at some ChatGPT use cases, all right? All right. Hey, everyone. Let's get back here. Somebody's asking here an interesting question, which is if we need any programs running or to be logged into ChatGPT. So you do not need any program, but you do need to log in. Okay, so you see I'm logged in here with my name. If I go to log out, it's going to ask me to log in. Okay, so to use it, you either need to be logged in or to sign up. I know that you have a lot of tools today that uses ChatGPT. I connect with my Google, so I don't have to be creating an account. I just use my Google account. So it's not really tricky. If you have a Gmail account, it's just a matter of clicking twice and that's it, you're in, okay? So the idea here is to, yes, you do need to be logged in, okay? If you have a Gmail account, that's as easy as just logging into your Gmail account, all right? So some other people asked if the meeting is going to be recorded. I think probably this was already answered, but I will answer it anyways. It is, right? So you can log in the same link later on, and it's going to be there for you to access if you want. Okay. So let's go back here. I'm proposing here in this two use cases. One where we are basically checking out, proposing a plot to analyze something. In this case, let's analyze profit. Everybody understands profit, right? So it's something that everybody can relate to. The idea here of ChatGPT is to, well, you can just ask anything and it's going to answer you by generating the text. It's not going to get something that's already typed in somewhere. It's going to type it itself, giving you an answer. Okay, so I'm basically going to copy and paste what I put here. Propose a plot to analyze profit. Okay, so I ask ChatGPT to propose a plot to analyze profit. You see that it's going to be generating text. It's taking some time. Some problem here. It's normal that sometimes it lags. A lot of people trying to use it, okay? So here we can see the answer, all right? So, no, this is not what I was, this is trying to generate a story, okay? I might have clicked something. So let's refine the result, okay? The idea here, it answers it with a story for some reason. I'm not sure if I clicked in when we were in a new chat here. Maybe I clicked on make up a story or something. So let's go back here and refine this a little better. In real life, right? Let's do something. Propose. How do we put there? Propose a plot or propose plots to analyze. Okay. It's so first I did not click for it to be generating stories. This is probably a fluke somewhere. Let's close this. I'm going to erase this chat. It's because of the word plot. The word plot, it's understanding that I mean the plot of a story and not necessarily a histogram or anyways a plot that I can do analysis on. That's it, okay? So let's do this. You are a data analyst. Propose a dashboard containing. How do synonyms for plots? I cannot think of any. Containing plots to analyze profit. Let's see if because of the word plot is still going to be. There we go. So now it's not generating a story anymore. It's actually closer to what I wanted. So you see that not perfect. I had to eventually find the right way to write it down. Similar to Google, right? It's not always you find in your first search. You got to be tweaking the query a little bit in Google to be able to also get to the information you want. Here's the same thing. Another cool thing about ChatGPT is that it memorizes the conversation. So it already knows. Now, every time I refer to plot, it's probably not going to try to write me a story. It's probably going to understand that I mean charts. Charts was the other word I should have used, not plots, charts. So it knows that I'm talking about charts now, not plots, right? Plots as in stories. So I asked it, right, as a data analyst, propose a dashboard that analyzes profit. It's giving you here the title of a dashboard. The idea of a dashboard is that it will contain several charts, right, several plots, telling some sort of story, right? It's going to be based on information of, I don't know, sales and maybe on promotions and other information. You see some plots there. And by the end of this dashboard, you're able to properly analyze profit of a certain company, right? So it's proposing here even the title of the dashboard. It's talking about the objective of the dashboard. So the dashboard is designed to help stakeholders understand and analyze profit trends, identify key drivers of profitability, and make informed decisions to optimize business performance. So you can see here that there's a lot of good stuff already, right? It's not perfect, but there's a lot of good stuff already. It's not just a copy and paste. Some people say, oh, okay, but with ChatGPT, then we don't need coders anymore. Then we don't need professionals anymore. That's not the point at all, right? If you're not a professional, you're not going to know, you would not even know how to properly write the query, right? Now you need to get the answer, interpret this answer, and apply this, whether you're going to be using Tableau to do your plots, or whether you're using the Python or whatever tool, Power BI, whatever tool you're using to create your dashboard, right? You're now going to have to apply this to there. So it's not like, okay, with ChatGPT, we don't need professionals anymore. No, that's far from true. You do need the professionals. The ChatGPT is just speeding up here my process a lot. It can be very useful to work with ChatGPT. It can really get some work done, but the inspiration needs to come from a professional, right? And a professional needs to validate the response, and a professional needs to be able to apply whatever ChatGPT is proposing. Okay, so we are far from a tool that's doing the job for us. It's just doing like 80% of the job, right? But we still need the other 20%. The other percent is still key for it to work. Okay, so you can see here that it's proposing 11 different charts and plots. Okay, we can see here, for example, plot over time. So we can visualize the trend of profit over a selected time period. Okay, whether we're going to be looking at months, quarters, or years. It's proposing here that in the x-axis, you're going to have time. In the y-axis, you're going to have profit, because that's how a time series look like, right? The idea of plotting the profit across time. It's proposing to, you can see here that it's already inferring that you have some information, like, for example, product and service. So based on the information it got from Google, right? It trained, because again, this is trained on Google, so all this information came from Google. So you have there, it's even proposing columns that you didn't even say you had, okay? So again, it's up to you to see if you actually have this column or not, right? If it makes sense to use this in your dashboard. But in general, I think it gives you some pretty starting points here, some pretty good starting points for you to start your dashboard, okay? Profit margin trends, profit versus expenses. I'm not sure if this would make sense, right? Isn't profit already after you discount the expenses? So again, here, not always ChatGPT is going to be 100% correct. Maybe it's also a matter of how you're interpreting this. I interpret profit already as something that after you discount the expenses, right? Unless maybe the expenses are some sort of tax that is applied over the profit. Anyways. Customer profitability, if it makes sense, right? Again, this is proposing something very generic based on my query. If you want something more specific, I recommend you to start with something generic. And from that something that you started generic, now you can start drilling down and being more specific to try to solve the problem. Okay, for example, let's say that we choose here profit over time line chart. Okay, what you can do now is, okay, or whatever. You don't need to write okay, right? It's just a machine, but I get this. I end up just writing it, whatever comes to mind sometimes, and just like that. So let's see here. I want to create a plot in Tableau. That shows profit over time. So you can see now, you can still, it knows already kind of what you're talking about, because again, it's memorizing this information. So it's also taking into consideration what was said before to write down the different steps. So here for Tableau, you can see that it's giving instructions. Open Tableau desktop, connect to the data source. So it's going to give you the step-by-step of how to create this plot in Tableau, okay? So you can just follow this. Guys, I'm going to rush a little bit now because we're reaching I want to give you some time for answers, and there's another use case that I want to do really quick. You could also ask for to create a plot, for example. The same plot, you see that I'm referring to the same plot. It already knows that I'm referring to this time series that I'm asking for, okay? The same plot, but in matplotlib. It's Python, so it's a library in Python. I'm going to put it like this. So the cool thing about asking for code is that it gives you already the code ready for you to just copy and paste, okay? So you can see here that it's telling you to import the libraries, to read your data. Of course, here you're going to need to specify your own file. You'll be creating a data frame, or sorry, you will, yeah, you're downloading here in a data frame. Pandas is a library in Python that uploads spreadsheets or tables. Anyway, the idea of having it in a table format. And from this table, you're able to do some quick operations. You can do a lot of ETL with Python. That's mostly how I do my ETL, is through Python or Perl, because I work for a client that only uses Perl. And then here, how you actually create the plot, right? It's how you're creating the plot using matplotlib, changing some information from the plot, and that's it. And you can even, and it's telling you how you can even save it later on. So it's giving you quite some information, and you can even change some stuff like, okay, but now I want the plot to be larger, whatever. And it's going to tell you how to make the plot larger, basically, which is using the fig size here, okay? Yeah, so it's telling you here, right, that it uses the fig size to actually change. As you can see here in my left corner, that I've been using ChatGPT every day for work, okay? It's very, very useful. I think this is a good example here. As a data scientist, sometimes, well, I know that a lot of these techniques that exists, but I'm not always sure. I don't always remember which technique is better for what. So I asked ChatGPT, does it make sense to get the PCA out of features that are log scaled? Okay, these are machine learning techniques. Well, not just machine learning techniques. It's a feature reduction technique that we apply in machine learning. Anyway, it's not important here, but the idea of asking questions and then getting an answer, checking if it makes sense, Googling a little bit to verify if this information is true or not. That's how I've been using ChatGPT, okay? So, and also always paying attention how ChatGPT is answering, and changing the way you're asking might give you a completely different answer. So that's the thing, that using ChatGPT, you feel more and more comfortable, I think, using it. And understanding that it's not a perfect tool. A lot of times it just answers crap, right? but you can always work with it. You can always drill down, be more specific. And well, basically, if the information is in Google, ChatGPT should have no problem accessing that information. Not directly, right? Again, not directly, but somehow it's in there. Okay. Let's take a look here. Somebody asks here how to double check. Well, the double check is Google. All right. So I think, so for example, here, I would read this, right? Yes, it can make sense to apply PCA to log scaled features, depending on the context, blah, blah, blah. And then it talks about the, like, why. I could research, right? I could Google now this information to check if it makes sense. I'm always using Google especially when it's something like this. When it's code, I copy and paste the code. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, well, then I figure it out. Of course, wait a minute, right? You got to read the code and you got to make sure that there's nothing wrong with the code, that the code is not doing anything tricky, anything that you don't understand. Okay, that's one thing. You got to understand the code that's here. But most of the times it gets it right, okay? Of course, with a lot of things that you need to change. And if the logic is more complex, the more complex the logic is, easier it is to get it wrong, okay? It makes up stuff and it looks right, but then it's not. So you gotta watch out for that. Code, I think it's a bit easier for me because I've been coding for a while, right? So again, it's not a tool for non-professionals, right? I mean, it is, it can help, but you still need to be a professional, right? To get things done, even with ChatGPT. You got to be able to understand code, even though it wasn't the code that you created yourself. You have to be able to read it really quick and see if the logic makes sense to what you want. If the logic makes sense to what you want, copy and paste it. And if it doesn't give you any errors, perfect, right? If it gives you errors, you got to debug as often you have when it's someone else's code, right? Let's see here if we have any more questions. I did not test GPT-4 yet. Okay, somebody asked ChatGPT-4. I've heard that you have GPT-4 is quite better than ChatGPT 3.5. Okay, I've heard that it's quite better. I know that even if you don't pay ChatGPT, because GPT-4 you have to pay to access here through ChatGPT, but I know that you have a lot of apps that are free to use that uses GPT-4. Okay, so you can look for that. I never tried it yet. I haven't tried it yet, but I've been only on 3.5, so I'm not sure. But I've read that ChatGPT 4 is reasonably better than GPT 3.5. Okay. I never checked others that are ready to use. For example, in my work, I've already trained models. For example, BERT is a famous model. I think it's even I think Bard is from the BERT family. I might be wrong. I might be wrong. But anyways, I've trained in work a BERT model. It's not hard to do. I do it through Hugging Face. Hugging Face has a nice place that you can go to look for models that are already trained. We've been talking a lot about ChatGPT. Here in Hugging Face, you have Llama. Llama 2, I think it's the closest thing we have to ChatGPT here in Hugging Face. And it's free to use. You can use this. You have the library. You have like a Transformers library here. It doesn't work, but you do have a Transformers library, and a lot of these tools you can use there as well. So I use Hugging Face a lot. I've already trained a BERT algorithm, and they're really good. It's a really nice platform. Okay. But I mean, it can't be compared because, for example, what I trained BERT for is for a classification problem. So we have questions, but we already have the templates with the answers. So I wasn't doing generative AI. I did train a language model, but I applied this language model to train a classification algorithm, which is something else. Okay.
We also have a question from Aaron. If I borrow the code from somewhere, I will cite where it came from. Does ChatGPT tell you where you got the code from? That was the question.
No, ChatGPT does not give you. I could ask, like, where did you get the code from? But I don't think it's going to be able to give me a precise. You see, it generated. You see, this is all generated on spot, so it's not like copy and pasting from somewhere. It's ChatGPT is a lossy compression of Google, let's say. It's a lossy compression. It's like it got all Google's information and compressed into this. And once you compress something, you don't have coming it from just one place anymore. It's coming from everywhere. You know what I mean? Like the idea here is that it's not copying and pasting from Google. Okay, it's based its answer on Google, but it's not copying and pasting from anywhere in Google. So it's generating this. That's why it doesn't give you the sources, right? It doesn't give you the sources. It just spits out the answer. All right. Yes, so somebody asked if there's a reason why I'm using 3 instead of 4. It's because 4 is paid for, all right? So I'm not paying for it yet, but I have thought about it many times because it's a really good tool. Okay. So you do have to update here to be able to use ChatGPT 4. But it's, well, let's see. So far, 3.5 has worked really well for me. That's why I haven't skipped to 4 yet. Okay. Mostly because I don't try to get complex answers right away. I start with generic, simple questions, and I drill down in that conversation to the specifics of things when I need it. Okay. So that's why I'm using GPT-3 instead of 4. Guys, any more questions? For now, I have here that all...
How can we display reports for which we don't have transactions? Say products on promotion but not sold.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
How can we display reports for which we don't have transactions?
Reports from where, though? I think we need to know a lot more to be able to answer that question. Like, what tool are you using? What data you're talking about?
Yeah. Okay.
Let's try one more time.
Sri, if you can clarify a little bit your question in the chat, I will treat that later. Let's see. Version 4. No. Yeah, we'll wait for Sri to answer back to clarify the question a bit better.
All right. It felt a bit specific about something, but I was missing what it was about. It depends, right? Are you using Tableau? You want this report from where? Is it going to be an Excel file, this report? Or like what are we talking about? That's mostly it. Guys, overall, I hope you enjoyed the little demo here with ChatGPT. Hope you start using it. I really recommend. It's really helpful. It really saves a lot of time. I actually use this to prepare this presentation, right? So you can see here, for example, in one of my conversations that I'm asking for ChatGPT some ideas, right? Create ideas for PowerPoint slides to explain a little about ChatGPT and how to use it for data analytics tasks. So I started with some very generic stuff. When I wanted to be more specific, I was writing it down. And that's how I used ChatGPT to create this presentation. Well, it wasn't really quick, but it was much faster than if I had tried to do everything from scratch, okay? So it's very good for also giving you ideas and helping you inspirational-wise. And I even use it to answer emails, okay? Sometimes I have an email, I write it down. I think it sounds bad for the way I wrote it. I just copy and paste it in ChatGPT and I write it down. Can you make this a bit better? Can you make this a bit more professional or whatever, or can you make this shorter if I think I'm over explaining? Anyways, so even to answer emails, sometimes I'm using ChatGPT. Guys, for my side, that's it. I think I can stop sharing my screen. Did we hear back from that question?
It says Power BI. I'm just, how can we display reports for which we don't have transactions, say products on promotion but not sold in Power BI?
So, well, I would not know how to use Power BI. Well, I mean, I would know how to use Power BI if it was in front of me and I had documentation, but I never used it. I used Tableau, I've used Domo, I've used Metabase. I mean, I've used many different data visualization tools, even from libraries in Python, but I have never used Power BI yet. In my career, I had never had to use it, so I would not know specifically how to. But you can try. We can try in ChatGPT. You should definitely write this question down in ChatGPT, and it's probably going to give you an answer. And of course, it might be 100% correct, but I bet that it's going to be at least 70% correct. And from that, you could definitely get this working. Okay, I think it's starting Google using instead of Google. I think ChatGPT, like I said, ChatGPT does not replace Google, but you could start with ChatGPT and then information that you need to cross-validate, some information you can't just check there in the program or type in the code, right? Some you have to actually Google to see if it's correct. So that's the idea here when I'm using ChatGPT. I hope I helped a little bit, even though the help was like, look for it in ChatGPT, right? At least I think I'm definitely you would be able to get it done. If you still have problems, contact me on LinkedIn, and I can help you out. Okay, I can
Perfect.
take a look and help you out. Contact me on LinkedIn or email me, and I'll see what I can help you with. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Felipe.
That's for anyone, guys. If you have any questions, right? I'll be on LinkedIn or email. You can just send me.
Thank you, guys. Bye bye.
See ya. Ciao, ciao.